Just checking that there's not any leaks in this new inner tube. Big risk of putting these tyres on is that you can risk getting a snake bite in here. Is it a snake bite or yeah, basically a pinch on the inner tube as you're putting it on. There's a high risk of that when you're trying to put these tyres on, so just be mindful as you work the inner tube in and the tyre on. Just keep pushing the inner tube in and do the best that you can. I have had problems with it, but hopefully today we'll have a smooth run. You'll all have different techniques to get this on, but this is the way that I do it. Anyway, one of the tips that that you can do is if you line up your writing sort of in the center with your valve, then it's a little bit easier to find your valve. I mean, it's not difficult to find your valve, but if it's there, it kind of looks nice as well, keeps it in sync with the others. Some people decide to put their where it says what pressure to put that by the valve, so you're not having to hunt it around. Don't think it really matters what you do whatever you want, it's your bike. Alright, so there's a little bead along the side. I don't know what the official term is for that, but there's a little groove in here on this side. Try and make sure it's seated in there nicely, but there will be like lots of opportunities to sort that out. Okay, so we've got one side on. You can put the tyre on first and then try and get the inner tube in, but with some of these valves they're quite long, so to actually try and negotiate that in after you've put the part of the tyre on can be quite tricky. So I found that it's just better to get the valve in at least, and then start to seat the wheel on, the tyre, sorry, on. And then now what we can do is start to feed this in. And if you can start to work it into the rim. But remember, we're going to keep going around the rim so that we haven't trapped our inner tube, because otherwise you'll be taking the tyre off again and it's back to square one. And with these tyres you don't really want to be doing that if you can help it. Right, so at this point you want to start thinking about getting this side of the tyre onto the rim, and there's and this is where it can get, I mean, you can start off and it's pretty straightforward, in doing so. If we start off around there, you'll see that we can start working it in. But I'm not going to bother with that. One of the other options is you start to run your tyre lever around and start working it out. Like I said, as you start getting around to there, it starts to pop back out. With the tyre monkey, again, this is a good idea. What you do here is you lock that side in behind the rim, and then you start to run it all the way around. But what you need here is, so the reason why I'm not recommending this one, although I like the idea and how it works, is that you have to get your thumb here and then push that around, and it takes quite a lot of force to get that all the way through, and not everyone has that thumb strength just there to get that force around it. So that's where that one falls short, in my opinion. The product which people rave about these, but as I've said, yeah, pile of pants if it breaks how this one did, and also it's just massive. Right, so the product that I think is good is this one, and again, a bit like the tyre monkey, what it does is it clips into the rim just here, and it's got this nice little ball which helps to try and ease the tyre in. And what it's also got is on that side, you can put your palm on the back and you can really get a lot more pressure into it, and that, in my opinion, makes all the difference. So what we're going to do here is just pop that one in. And so I haven't even done anything really now on this stage, so hold on a second, we're not going to go towards the valve. We'll start on the other side of the valve. Okay, so the key thing to do here, let's see, make sure it hasn't popped out of the other side, is make sure that your inner tube is nicely tucked away so you're not trapping it between the rim and the tyre. And all we're going to do is just kind of like start to work this around, keep checking as you go along. I mean, don't worry, like what you can see is you can already see it's popping back out again, and this is what happens with all of the other things as well that you use. You just keep going around. So what I'm going to do is, as I start to put that in, I'm going to just hold that down. I guess that's a bit like the idea of the zip ties. Again, keep checking. You can see that that's staying in now at the moment. There will be an element. You can see that inner tube's popping out a little bit. So you're looking at multiple factors, which is where this comes in handy, because it just stays where it needs to stay and you're not having to fiddle with that, drop it on the floor and then come look for it again. So it means that you can just pull it back a bit, push your inner tube in, push it forward, and then just hold back onto here. Alright, I'm getting to sort of that critical point now. This is where it gets, with all of the other systems, this is where you're going to have your problem. To get that to pop over the top, it's an absolute pig. Right, okay, hopefully I'll show you now and the difference that this one makes. You know, I'm having to put a reasonable amount of pressure on, but again, that's my reason for going for this one over this one. the amount of pressure you have to put on here to get this to go around is it's a lot of pressure on your thumb. And if you've got super strong thumbs, then fair enough. But I think, well, why struggle? Because there's that which you can use your palm. And also, like I said, I like that little ball shape that's on there, which feels like it wants to push this in nicely, which the other one hasn't got. So I think that design is good. All right, so enough. There you go, and we're on. I mean, still got to go around it again, because what I want to do is make sure that there's not anything hanging out. Just got the valve just there. So all you're going to do now is check by pushing your tyre across. Make sure that there's no inner tube hanging out, because when you inflate this, if there is, that's where you're going to get a puncture from the pinch. So follow that round. It's also helping to seat the tyre in. Do both sides. Helps to centralise the tyre on the rim. Okay, right, so tyres on. Let's and what's nice about these tyres is that they've got a nice little reflective bit around the edge. But again, this gives you an idea of why I don't like the fact that they folded them up and shipped them. You can see where it's got twists in the tyre, but hopefully with a bit of pressure and whatnot, it'll all stabilise out. So I put a bit of pressure in it, leave it for a day or so, and then I'll inflate them to their required amount. So I put a little bit in, just work your tyre around, and then if it's not quite sat into place, it's going to find its spot. That also gives your inner tube a chance to seat itself nicely. Alright, I've put 50 psi in there for now, just to keep it. I'll fill this up again a bit later. I mean, obviously if I was on the side of the road, I'd fill it up more. But the reason why I'm doing it at a lower pressure is because, as I mentioned earlier, these were packed in a figure of 8, sort of spun round. So just want to give the tyre a chance just to find its own place, and just get back into a spherical shape, and then I'll put a bit more pressure into it. But there we go, tyres back on. And so on review, what we're looking at is what you're going to carry when you've, well, really, I think this system works for any tyre, but certainly if it can work for a Schwalbe Marathon Plus, then it will work for any tyre, and that's the key thing. All the other tyres, you can probably get them on with just your hands. You don't even need one of these tools. But if you are going to run these and you want to take some kit with you, then 100% this is what you need. So pack size wise, we're looking at these levers, which were part of the Brompton kit. But like I say, you might not need all of that stuff, especially if you've got quick release and all of that. So, you know, keep that with your Brompton or whatever. But the tyre levers, take those out. This is the chisel. Get one of these. Put a link for that. And get yourself some super patches as well. And that's everything. That's what you'll need to change your tyres and fix a flat on the side of the road. There we go. It's like fits in my hand, and that's not taking a lot of space at all. Right, I hope you like the video. I hope it's useful. These are on now. I'm happy. Let's see how far we go with them. I'll post back at some point with how I found these tyres compared to my semi-slicks. What kind of difference I'm finding with the ride. Maybe I'll put something on as and when. I'm not a massive poster on here, but I'm trying to do a little bit more if I can. Hopefully you found that video useful. But just to kind of reiterate, don't waste your time with this. Absolute tat. You can look at the size of it. I mean, look at the size of that, and that's just rubbish. And especially if that happens, then you've just got, what you're going to do with that. You chuck it on the side of the road and get a fine, or carry it back whilst walking back because you can't take your tyre off. So forget that. If you've got standard tyres, these are absolutely fine. But like I said, this is what happens if you try and take the Schwalbe Marathon Pros off with him. They'll just break, and yeah, just forget that. This one, need a lot of thumb pressure. Good idea, just slightly shy of the mark, but if you've got one, that is going to be better than maybe this, maybe that. But 100%, you're going to do everything you need with these. There may be other brands out there which give you metal ones, but these are fantastic. These are made by Brompton, and this is Tyre Glider. Again, I've got a link in, and there's your patches. I'll do everything. As I said before on my previous video, I've also fixed an air mattress with these, and just bang straight on, no messing about. Alright, thanks for watching. Hope that was useful for you. As people always say, if you like, please like and subscribe and all that lark. Do it if you want. If you don't worry about it. Do whatever you got to do. Enjoy your ride.